Hello there, and welcome to Sports by Compian. We are here today to talk about the big NFL draft. Of course, your host, Stephen Compian, is the guy who started talking first. And now here's Corey Compian, our co-host, our guy who, when the night is low and the sun is setting, you call him, and he'll come have a beer with you. Corey, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good. How does a night get low though?
Dude,
Like, are we talking like a medieval night, just
so
like
it's
getting low
similar
to the
to like
flow?
when the sun gets low, but instead it's the night gets low.
But then that would just be like the dawn. That'd be like early
No, no,
morning.
no, but instead it's like it's not
But it's
that,
different.
but
It's
it's
like that,
different.
but different.
It's
I see what
different
you're saying.
because you
No,
wouldn't want to have a beer right when the sun is rising. I mean, it depends on your
I've
situation where
done
you are,
it.
what you're
I've
doing.
been
Yeah, of
there,
course.
man.
I mean, shout out to you, but I'm just saying overall, usually right around the evening time. And it's Corey the man you call. Here he is talking to us about NFL draft stuff. You excited about this, Corey?
Dude, super duper pumped. All the
Dope.
all the questions, all the answers, all this and more, but probably less than you expect altogether.
Finally set. Most of these NFL rosters are finally set. All the undrafted free agents are signed now. There's going to be a handful more of these guys who are playing the UFL will probably get a chance too. Then there's going to be the battles in camp. We're getting closer, dude. A lot of the old preseason stuff is starting to wave out. Now we're going to go to the dead period of the NFL. Truly no news as Caleb Williams settles into Chicago as the first overall pick. No surprises there, of course.
I saw he just had to do like have the most mediocre year ever, and he could break every Bears rookie record. I forget what the stats were, but they were just like really low completion percentage, have like 2 or 3 thousand throwing yards, like a handful of touchdowns. Like my man is gonna break every record if unless he gets hurt, especially with that like star-studded defense or I mean offense they got going there. They like got every receiver to ever exist just went over there.
Yeah, man, he really does have everybody to throw the ball to, which is kind of crazy. Like, I was hearing from That's Good Sports, was breaking down the first round. It's kind of crazy how the people going to the first two overall, Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels are probably going to better situations overall than Drake May, which is quite amusing, in the overall scheme because yeah, Caleb Williams kind of as you mentioned loaded at the receiver room, rolls
It's
in with
like
a lot of swag. This has got to be one of the biggest picks the Bears have had in a while.
coming in as the first overall, he's really walking into like a great situation. Like last year,
Yeah.
Bryce Young going into the Panthers. That's kind of what you expect the first overall to happen. Like Derek Carr back in the day with the Texans, where they just walk in there and it's like everything's on fire, the fucking crew's mutinying and they're like murdering the captain, and it's like
Yeah.
here you're in charge of the ship now. But
Yeah.
with your man Caleb Williams, it's really just like golden key to the city and like everything's they're they're in a good position.
He's still got a lot to prove as one of the Bears fans who I talked to yesterday who was nice enough to drive me home from the airport. I was like, so you believe in this Caleb Williams guy? And he's like, man, I'm done believing in quarterbacks. I got myself a Justin Fields jersey. I paid $250 for or something like that. I didn't bother to ask him where, how, or why. But he's like, and I'm trying to
Expensive
resell
jersey.
that now. I'm like, good luck with that, bro.
Resell a jersey for a quarterback that's not even there anymore.
Yeah, yeah. And then as another Patriot pointed out as he was walking down the bus, he's like, you should probably just put that on top of your man cave as a mantle, and like that seems like better advice. But yeah, anyway, he still got one over the city of Chicago is what I'm getting at. They have not. He's like, I'm done believing in quarterbacks, and that's fair as a Bears fan. Jaden Daniels also walks into a decent situation. He has Scary Terry to throw it to. They just got off the Neckler over there, and there's like the thing with Commanders is they have a bunch of receivers over there who, like Dobbs and stuff, like these like kind of guys who like pop off every once in a while for just huge games. So he's got a lot of good options to throw it to. Even Drake May, like he doesn't have great options to throw it to, but he has a decent team around him. Like the Patriots have a pretty good defense. They're going to rely on their run game again with Rashad Stevenson. Um, is it Rashad Stevenson or am I crazy, Corey? Did I go to the Twilight
Um,
Zone? I'm pretty sure it is. Anyway,
if you're in the
uh,
Twilight Zone, make sure you bring back some bacon because they have
oh, I
better
will.
bacon there.
Oh, I will. But yeah, I don't know who's going to throw the ball to, Corey. They probably should try to sign somebody. Maybe one. You know who they need? They need the boy over there from St. Louis Battlehawks, our boy Akeem.
Yeah.
Ant-Man. Yep, sign him. Anyway, Marvin Harrison gets picked as the 4th overall. A very high pick for wide receiver, absolute stud. It's going to be really good for Kyle Murray. This is a put up or shut up type of year for Kyle Murray at this point. He has him. He has who else does he have to throw the ball to? There was somebody else over there, right?
I think he has Hollywood Brown. Is he still there?
No, Hollywood Brown moved on too, even though that's not even a real receiver. He moved on. Kirkland's moved on. I mean, Kirk. Even Hopkins. There was somebody. He has a decent tight end they drafted over there a couple years ago. What's that guy? Trey McBride. He's pretty good. I don't know. They'll figure it out. I don't really care. Cardinals over there. They got Marvin Harrison Jr. now. Absolute studly move. And then Joe Alt goes to the Chargers. I don't know why everyone's so mad at the Chargers for not picking a receiver here. I kind of respect it. Going Joe Alt. Dude looks like an absolute monster. Got to protect Justin Fields. Keep him up. But he'll figure out a way to make completions if he can stay upright. And then the Giants basically do go receiver that next move. They go Malik Neighbors. Get their boy Danny Dimes something to throw the ball to, Corey. Yet another put up or shut up year for your for quarterback. Do you think this might be the piece that puts them over, Corey? Another LSU receiver for the Giants? Seemed to work out well for them last time.
I mean, Kadarius Toney was definitely not the answer. So you can't get much worse than that.
True. Yeah, hopefully it's not Kadarius Toney 3.0 or 2.0. All right, and then JC Lithium. Don't know who this guy is, but he's fucking huge, dude. Big boy from Alabama. Goes 7 overall to the Titans. They just stacked up on huge weight. I read somewhere like their first 2 picks combined were like 722 pounds between them. I'm like, wow, some big boys. And then of course the pick that shook up the whole draft, Michael Penix Jr. going 8 overall to the Falcons. What do you think about this, Core?
It's weird. Like, why would you sign a guy and be like, this is our guy, and then be like, but also we're gonna get his replacement all at once? Like, you don't even know what he's capable of yet. Which I get. Like, if you really think that's the guy, then get him, because for example, you don't want to pass up on Patrick Mahomes because you have like a passable aging quarterback. If you think that's the dude, then get him. But I mean, it worked out for the Packers, I guess. The Packers have been doing it since the dawn of time. Like the Eagles.
Yeah, but are the Falcons the Packers? And they were definitely in win now mode, and I'm in the division. I'm not totally mad about this pick, but I wasn't happy about it either. Because if Kirk Cousins does go down with injury, now you got a solid insurance policy. And when and if Kirk Cousins moves on, now you have a young, potentially very good quarterback. Of all the guys, the top 6 that were talked about, I really thought this guy was good. So
I think the only drawback is he's like the oldest. He's like 26, right?
He's definitely the oldest. So for him to be sitting back, it's kind of crazy. I'm definitely not happy to have him in the division, though, Corey. Overall, I think he's a winner. I'm not stoked about that, but
I hate it when there's a winner in my division.
I'm not mad. I'm not happy about that. But overall, I think we'll be okay because right now we're going to deal with Kirk Cousins. So that's all I can deal with for now. So yeah, maybe questionable move for the Falcons. Everyone's killing them and your mom. I'm not too sure, so we're just gonna leave that one alone. We won't know till a couple years from now with any of this, really. But whatever. Here we are. And then Rome. I'm not gonna try to pronounce this dude's last name, Corey, but he was the number 1 target over there for Michael Penix Jr. He goes to the Bears. Now they have yet another studly receiver to throw it to, as we already talked about with Caleb Williams. Has all the options.
Nice to have options.
Good for him. Good for him, man. That's crazy. As the first overall pick, having like this base does to go to is wild.
With Caleb Williams, is he actually gay, or did he just paint his nails and then everyone's just running with the narrative?
Who knows? I think he also has a pink phone case.
But that's a lot of assumptions based off a phone case and painted nails.
Exactly, especially in today's modern society where there's a lot more feminist dudes out there. Frankly, who cares? And who's not going to care? Chicago fans. If he starts bringing them wins to that city, they won't give a flying fuck what he does or who he fucks, quite literally. Anyway, JJ McCarthy, Michigan quarterback, Corey, goes to the Vikings. They hopped up to get this pick. they traded away a lot of stuff to move up to get their guy JJ McCarthy because they really thought the Broncos were going to snatch him, or maybe they thought the Jets would. I don't know. I forget. But either way, they thought the Broncos might move up and get him, so they said they move up and get their guy. You know, everyone seems to be pretty happy with this pick. The dude's a winner.
They needed someone, man.
They do. You can't. I mean, you can't roll into the season. Yeah, that's the thing. You're kind of desperate. You can't roll into the season with Sam Darnold as your guy. So they had.
Is that who they had? They had Sam Darnold.
It was Sam Darnold. It was going to be like Sam Darnold. They'll bring back the astronaut. So they were like, all right, let's go get McCarthy. I guess they really felt that strongly about him over Nix, though. That's what's interesting to me. And then you have Sean Payton on the other end of this deal trying to say, oh, yeah, I played smoke and mirrors. Like, I really cared. Like, I really wanted McCarthy, but really I wanted Nix. So, you know, he's also a prick, and I don't like that guy. So, of course, he's going to say that. But anyway.
He's a weird dude.
He's a terrible person.
It's like he just talks too much, man. Like, instead of just keeping his head down and coaching, he's like out here playing the media game, and like it keeps coming back to bite him in the ass because he's like talks too much shit, pisses people off, and then his team's bad. I don't know.
I don't think he really cares, and honestly, he's probably gonna be good again this year. So I don't have too much to say about that. But shout out to JJ McCarthy going into a decent situation with the Vikings. He has Addison to throw it to. He has Jefferson to throw it to. So good for him. I'm not gonna try to pronounce the name of this young man drafted to the Jets. But good for him, dude. Probably of African descent, and just put in the fucking work over there. I saw this commercial during the NFL Super Bowl for like how the NFL is expanding and trying to like do what they can to teach football in like these other foreign countries and like supply it. And that's just awesome to me, man. That's how you start to develop this kind of talent, and you see these guys getting drafted now because if he has a chance to play this game when he's 8 as opposed to 21, it's much more likely he can make it.
Yeah.
So. Good for him.
How much do you think that's the NFL going in there, and how much do you think it's like there's already an established league like in Costa Rica?
Well, there's already people who want to play for sure, but the NFL is apparently doing what they can to try to help too. At least according to this commercial, it didn't specify what was going on, but I do remember having spoken with you for the first time in a while, so I was definitely in a headspace to do this commercial. That was out of all the commercials, that one impacted me the most. I thought it was the best of the Super Bowl for sure. Anyway,
I'm just picturing like the Costa Rica League, and then they go down there and they're like,
I was
picturing
myself as an 8-year-old, like actually having the opportunity to be able to play this a lot earlier would be fucking cool. And who knows if they're claiming to build it or if they're just trying to help out, which regardless.
Either way, it's all good shit.
It's good. That's all I care about. Anyway, so yeah, this gentleman drafted into the NFL. We probably know he grew up in the States. Not trying to say anything about him, but anyway. Good for him. The Jets get another weapon to defend Aaron Rodgers, and hopefully they can keep him upright because I don't know how many more tackles Mr. Ayahuasca over there can handle, apparently. And then Bo Nix goes to Denver. This is something that a lot of Denver fans wanted, predicted. So they get the longest-term starter in college. This dude played tons and tons of college football, Corey. He now goes to Denver, and then they needed a quarterback desperately. They've been calling for one since Peyton Manning. Can he finally be the answer? I kind of hope so. I kind of like Denver, so I kind of hope they can figure it out.
Do you think that's just a good sports influence? Because I kind
of like them already too, but no, that's good. Sports has definitely influenced me as well. Like he looks like he's got a lot of gray hair. That poor guy. He's worrying a lot. He needs to see his team win.
My man's out there trying to raise kids, run a channel, and watch his team lose. It's too much.
Yeah.
Too much going on.
Yeah, you guys need to help him out a little bit, guys. Jeez. And then Brock Bowers, top tight end in Georgia. Oh yeah, well it has to be said, of course. 6 quarterbacks in the first 12 picks, Corey. Pretty wild. I think that was like an NFL record. So, yeah, pretty wild. Shout out to that quarterback class. The only other quarterback class, Corey, that had 6 quarterbacks picked in the first round was Dan Marino, John Elway, Jim Kelly. Fuck, I forget the other ones. But yeah, it was a stacked fucking class where all those guys went on to be Hall of Famers. So, guess we'll see what happens here, huh?
Yeah, it was a hyped up class.
It sure was. Brock Bowers is the first tight end off the board. Absolute stud out of Georgia. I think the story of him, though, may or may not be his sister, who you see when he gets drafted. You could look this up. Brock Bowers' sister, just an amazing leg tattoo on her leg. I'm sure everyone and her mom is hitting her up. But I'd like to say, young lady, if you're out there, Mrs. Bowers, I will take you on a date, fly out to Georgia, and treat you right, lady. It sounds real nice. that like piece is to die for it. Anyway, shout out Brock Bowers in the NFL
But
now.
so one thing I saw about him is he's like they're like generational guy. This guy's like the best tight end we've ever seen. But they just fucking said that about what's the dude in Atlanta, number 8.
Oh yeah, that's true. They did just say that about Kyle Pitts.
Like just heard this about Kyle
They say
Pitts.
that they say it every year. You know,
Everybody's fucking generational these days. Like, what are we doing here? Do we know
Well,
how long a generation is?
they gotta hype them up, you know. And it's only like we'll see what they actually do in the NFL because Kyle Pitts certainly hasn't done much yet.
Right.
So we'll see what he ends up doing, but yeah, not much so far. The other funny thing, Corey, is they already have Darren Waller over there. So it's like they already had a really good tight end, but they just couldn't pass on this guy because he's that good. So I kind of like the move. It's a little bit of a luxury pick, but you're believing in Gardner Minshew. You're like, yep, my boy Minshew's got this. We just need to give him all the tight end power possible if he's going to get us wins.
Yeah, run 2 tight ends. Why not? What's wrong with that?
Also, not going to try to pronounce this guy's name, but shout out to the Saints tackle. Poor bastard got drafted to a terrible organization, although I do wish him in particular success and happiness and all the good things in his career. I hope the team got drafted by sucks. Yeah. I need nothing really further to say there. And then finally, a defensive player is selected, Core. The Indianapolis Colts pick Lavatu. Apparently a very technical, excellent rusher out of UCLA, outside linebacker. This guy had some really cool stuff on his highlight tape, dude. He had plays where he was like flying by guys, of course, because he's fast. But he also had plays where he was just running over like full-grown tackles into the quarterback. I was like, is that allowed as like a smaller dude? And he was like, yeah, no, I cleared it with like the league officials. It's totally cool. And I was like, word, dude. And he was just doing that. So yeah, shout out to him. First defensive player off the board at 15. Isn't that wild? They just all offense all day.
That's crazy how sometimes like they go first overall, second overall. Nope, fucking 15.
Yeah.
Everyone's just like, we don't give a fuck. We're just worried about our goddamn offense this season.
Pretty much. Everyone just needs to score points. And then yeah, Byron Murphy comes off the board as the first defensive tackle. Absolute stud out of Texas. Had himself a really nice year last year down there in Texas. And yeah, Seattle gets a really nice pick here. I think that it might have been one of the best picks of the first round. Dallas Turner to the Vikings. The Vikings once again trade up to get their guy. Gave up a couple more of their picks. They had a whole bunch of picks in the mid rounds, and they kind of shed a lot of them to come up and get their guys they wanted in the first round. So not terrible for them. They get the best edge rusher potentially out of Alabama at least. Dallas Turner, been talked about for a while. Been doing some fine stuff down there in Alabama, and now he is in the league core with the Minnesota Vikings. Mims goes over to Cincinnati. They continue to do what they can to keep Joe Burrow on his feet. He does have enough receivers to throw to, so I like the pick, Core. What do you like? What do you think? Happy with that? Offensive tackle. I know you hate offensive tackles getting picks.
I watched zero footage of this guy, so I have no clue.
Well, his hair looks cool, so I think it's gonna be good.
All right, I'm always down for a good haircut.
Yeah, look at that shit. It's like all fucking I'm here for it. Anyway, Jared Verse.
This might be an awkward time to bring up that you're not sharing your screen.
Oh gosh, dude.
Just 20 minutes in, you know. But
you right. Damn, Gore. Oh well. Well, guys, you know what these people's faces look like. This is the first time, but anyway, let's do that right here.
We'll either look at him and they'll become a person you recognize on the daily, or you'll have absolutely no idea who they are or care.
Yeah, good point. Anyway, moving on. Jared Verse, Florida State edge, comes off the board next to the Rams. They finally have a first-round pick, and they used it to get some to increase their defense. Shout out to the Rams. Finally being in the first round, finally making some selection. Sean Payton's like, what do we do? It's the first round. I'm not used to having to work on a Thursday night. This is really crazy. But they figured it out, get the work done. Toli Tabatu, I want to say. Troy Tabatu. Why do I even try that? It's just offensive, you know what I mean? Anyway, the Pittsburgh's taking offensive tackle here. Washington product. These Huskies, dude, they were flying off the board throughout this whole draft in general. I mean, obviously, a team that goes to the national championship would. But yeah, their first tackle comes off the board here. Chop Robinson really wanted this guy for the Buccaneers, but he does end up getting snatched up by Miami in the first round. Totally understandable. Total stud. Wasn't surprised to see that. Quinton Mitchell. A lot of people had him as the best corner or Cooper DeJean, but and that the Cooper DeJean thing apparently wasn't what a lot of teams thought because it was like about 3 or 4 corners that came off the board before your boy Cooper, Corey.
I think there was just a lot of hype about him just because he's white.
I think you're right. I think that's pretty much what it was, which is, I guess, shame on me. But anyway, Quinton Mitchell, you love to see these small school guys getting picked this high. So that's really cool for him coming out of Toledo. They had an interesting run over there in Toledo. It's been kind of cool seeing their players come into the league lately. Starting to produce some studs. Brian Thompson Jr., wide receiver out of LSU. It seems like look at the amount of trades that happened for Jacksonville to end up with this. So Cleveland sent it to Houston, Houston sent it to Miami, Minnesota sent it to Jacksonville when they traded up earlier. So that's funny. Anyway, so good for him. He all that trading around to end up with Jacksonville. Gives Trevor Lawrence yet another person to throw the ball to. Detroit Lions go corner with Arnold. Yeah, Arnold. Anyway, Arnold, cornerback from Alabama. This is a really good pick by the Detroit Lions. This dude had a fucking sick suit, Corey. He had a full pink suit, I want to say. Was that him or was that the other guy? I think it was him, yeah. Solid fucking suit, man. He looked great. And then he got to really enjoy just being there in Detroit. Detroit showed up for this draft, dude. They were there in C's and
I saw that.
They were super
did a drone shot and then it was a ridiculous amount of people. They are hype about their team recently.
Oh yeah, and they absolutely welcomed their boy to the city, and he got to get in there and get pictures with them. Real nice scene. Jordan Morgan goes to the Green Bay Packers. When me and Taylor Seitz were both sitting at the bar, absolutely wanting Cooper DeJean, and when he was still on the board at this point, we both wanted to draft him. Instead, both of our teams decided to go for safer picks and go offensive line, which is what our teams actually needed. The Packers. This guy Jordan Morgan's an absolute stud. He allowed no sacks pretty much in his whole time in Arizona.
I also appreciate just building an army of Jordans.
Yeah, that too. It is important. So yeah, they have Jordan protecting Jordan, so that's real important. And then Graham Barton goes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is something that Pewter Report had on a couple mock drafts, but just weren't sure if he was still going to be available. He was. The Bucs were absolutely stoked and super excited for this one. This is a tackle from. He played pretty much all over the offensive line at Duke, which is similar to what Jordan Morgan did as well. He pretty much played all over for the Packers too, but we're going to stick him in at center because that's our biggest need. Although he will be competing, there's going to be a big old competition for those interior offensive line for the interiors of the Buccaneers offensive line. Between him, you got Cody Malik, and then there's that other guard spot, which may end up being Robert Hensley's another good interior lineman, in which case he might move to center, and you'd see Graham go to guard. Either way, really good. The Bucs needed it. We absolutely needed another interior offensive lineman, so this is a good pick.
Is it tackles that make absolute fuck off money, or is it the whole line makes fuck off money?
Usually the tackle is definitely going to make more, but the guards make good money.
So if you're
going to make more than a linebacker, I think.
But if you're coming in as an offensive line and obviously you go where you're put, but you kind of want to be at the guard because also how do they decide where to pay you? Yeah.
If you could be a really good tackle, that's what you want to be. They get paid the most. But
so this dude coming in as an offensive line,
so he played tackle a lot in college, but regardless, we already have 2 good tackles right now.
But they have to. I'm talking about the dude going to the Packers. So
oh yeah.
But they have set if you're drafted in the first round and you're
a
receiver, this is the minimum. If you're a quarterback, this is the minimum. So he's just coming in as offensive line.
Yeah, I have no idea how they do that.
These are the hard-hitting questions, and no one has answers. Not even science.
Well, I'm sure there's answers out there, but I don't know.
There's no answers. There never have been, and there never
will be.
That
is a good question, Corey. You're not wrong. And it also applies to Graham Barton. Either way, good picks for both the Packers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Darius Robinson goes next. I immediately ran out of the bar as soon as that pick happened because I had to like a handful of hours of sleep before I had to go hop on a flight. So yeah, that was all I got to see. So I missed Darius Robinson getting drafted by the Arizona Cardinals, who traded back up into the first round to get him. Xavier Worthy, you get from the Kansas City Chiefs, who apparently didn't have a first round pick and traded with Buffalo. No, they did it, but it was going to be further down, so they traded up. And then Buffalo just traded out of the first round altogether and gave it to Carolina so they could get back into the first round so they could get a receiver. And then, of course, Tyler Guyton, Dallas Cowboys. So the Cowboys traded down in this draft with Detroit, and they end up with a tackle anyway. A big old boy from Oklahoma. Corey, what do you think about this?
I like it. I mean, it seems like they kind of saw, well, I mean, actually 2 offensive linemen got taken. I figured like maybe they just saw like who was left and they're like, oh, none of these guys need a line. We can trade back. But 2, in theory, 2 better linemen came off the board first. So like, I don't know. I guess time will tell which of these 3 was the guy.
Well, either way, the Cowboys definitely sat back in this draft a little bit. Was not what they wanted.
We're going all in, though,
soon. We're all in, apparently. So, yeah, Nate Wiggins as well, drafted to the Baltimore Ravens. And then Ricky Pearsall to the 49ers. I wonder if this is because they might be getting rid of Ayuk or Deebo Samuel before the season starts. These are my hard-hitting questions, Corey.
This is true. This is true.
Either way,
I have heard that Ayuk may be up on the trading block just because he's coming off his rookie contract and he's going to like.
I think didn't he request a trade? I thought he straight up requested one.
I'm not sure. Dude, did you hear the Bills? They took some a rugby player and they're not even really sure where they're going to play him.
I did. I heard it was like a very late round pick that they're just going to kind of push into some type of position.
They're just like, you know how to tackle people, Brad. Just find the ball, hit him.
He apparently didn't even play like a super high level of rugby. It's kind of crazy, but whatever. I guess they just like the size and speed. What's funny though is that the Eagles go 2 back-to-back picks at corner. They went ahead and got Cooper DeJong. I just think that's interesting. 2 corners in the first 2 picks, but I guess they got rid of all
their veterans last year.
Well, none of them could tackle, so it makes sense they got rid of them all. The Bucs Trey Palmer just ran through that whole secondary. So yeah, I'm not too surprised. It's like, let's just maybe get rid of all these guys. We'll just start again. See if we can find anybody else better.
There was like a feel-good story. I'm not sure which round he went in, but there was a dude from a corner who went from like he played in college, but he never played a snap. He joined a team, but then his dad died, so he had to go work so that he could support his family because he was apparently one of 13, which is crazy. And then whenever he was 20, his mom signed him up, forged documents to get him into the fan-controlled football league. So she then, once he got in there, once he got on a team, then she convinced him to play, and he stood out, was a stud. He went to play in Canada after that, and then ended up getting drafted this draft. His name was I think Stegers, something like that.
Cool. Good for him, man.
Super young dude apparently, but he ran the gauntlet to make his way into the NFL. He's 22, some corner. I don't know where he ended up, but I think the Jets took him.
Nice. So we're not going to hop into the deep draft of every single team, Corey, because frankly, me and you are not draft experts. So that'd be a big waste of everyone's time that we'd just be reading off names on NFL.com. Instead, I will talk to you about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because I have done some mild research now on each one of these players, or at least heard some stuff about them from somebody who does know. So anyway, I'm not going to try to educate you guys, but I'm just going to talk about what I think about it and how I feel about them integrating into this fine Tampa Bay Buccaneers team, which is just going to go ahead and take this NFC South division now. For pretty much decided now that we got Graham and Barton leading this group of young men to come in here, they don't have a chance. Our second round pick.
He's going to touch the ball every offensive play. That's how you know he's going to win.
We're going to win. It's over now. And Chris Boswell is going to anchor down the defense for us. So, this guy isn't.
Is he replacing White?
Chris Boswell is a defensive tackle. I mean, a defensive end. is what we're gonna put him at.
But I think White is gone. No, aren't you trading him, or is he still there?
White's a linebacker. He's more of a. This guy's more of an outside rusher, outside linebacker.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah, whereas White is a middle linebacker. But yeah, White's gone. Fuck White. He already signed with the Eagles.
Take that, Eagles.
Yeah. Well, White in particular is just anyway. We're talking about the new, future, exciting things. Okay, White's part of the past. We're over that loser. Moving on. So yeah, Chris Boswell, dude. This guy came from Alabama. Sat behind a whole bunch of people. So he sat behind Chop Robinson. Maybe not Chop Robinson. That's Penn State. Sorry. But he sat behind Dallas Turner, who got drafted in the first round. Sat behind Will Anderson, who got drafted first overall early by the Texans last year. So he's been sitting around for a while. Could have transferred out. Instead, he stuck it out. Still had like 8 sacks, had a pick 6, blocked a punt. So like when he got his opportunities, he was really good. So it's pretty cool. It shows that he's just a commitment guy. Like he just liked Alabama, liked that culture, that he just stuck around. And I really like the pick here because we needed somebody who could really put some pressure on the quarterbacks. Apparently, this guy's fucking fast. So it's cool. We definitely need somebody who can come in here and put some pressure on and we just needed somebody who could maybe like awaken Joe Tryon-Sharenka to stop sucking. Like he's in his his contract year. He needs to do something, or we're going to move on from him. And maybe this guy coming in was a fundamental, actual football player as opposed to just a good athlete might get something out of JTS. Who knows? If not, this guy will take his job, which would be great. You also have, Anthony Nelson also in a contract year. So there's going to be a lot of competition. Jaya Diaby is supposed to hold down the one spot on the edge there, but who knows? So this is really good. We needed another outside linebacker, and even if he doesn't get a ton of starting reps this year, he's going to be a good solution for us down the road. Mr. Tariq Smith is listed as DB, which is great for us. We have a lot of needs across the whole secondary. Guys like Zion McCollum, we had him playing 2 different positions last year. So to have a guy who we can put at slot, put on the outside, would help put him in safety. Apparently a very high IQ player. He just had a lot of picks last year or like off deflections where he just was in the right spot and would actually make the catch, which shows, I think, awareness,
right place, right time.
Knowing what your scheme is and being able to react quickly when there's a ball in the air. Not everyone can react quickly to that, and do it the right way. So he's fast. He can fly around. It's going to be good times. Jalen McMillan apparently is going to be a real steal for us that we got in the 3rd round. Apparently he led all Husky receivers in receiving yards and touchdowns in 2022. Got injured a couple games last year, so he didn't have quite as dominant of a year. But I saw the highlights of this guy. His route running in the red zone particularly is scary. He's kind of like a smaller receiver, but just beautiful cut moves. I think he's going to be a real good addition for us. We needed some help at receiver. Could end up being an absolute steal. So very excited about that one. Bucky Irving is just a monster of a running back. Well, not a monster of a running back. He's a smaller dude, but the dude runs big. Like there was a couple highlights where he had where people just have him wrapped up and he still just like keep turning.
I'm jealous
those legs
you got a running back, man. I wish we had a running back.
And this is a good one too. The dude runs hard, man. Like, yeah, he gets most of his yards outside the tackles, which you would expect from a smaller, faster running back, but he does a lot of his running between the tackles as well. Like I mentioned, very hard-nosed runner, can probably catch the passes out the backfield. I kind of wanted a thicker, running back to complement White, who's already kind of fat, who's already kind of a smaller, faster guy. But this is good too. We'll still take just another good running back. It's what we needed because you just need to be able to give White some plays off. And frankly, I love Edmonds, but he just doesn't stay healthy enough to be a consistent backup. Then we got Elijah Klein. Don't know too much about the young man, but he's at UTEP, smaller school. So, he's going to come in with that fighter mentality. Bucks actually love these smaller school offensive linemen. They look for a certain type of thing. They want those rugged, sort of just mean-looking offensive guys. And, I guess this guy fits the bill. So I'm excited to see what he can do. An interior guy, so we needed more interior guys. This will be good for us. rounding it out the draft, they bring in yet another Husky, Corey, because the Buccaneers just can't get enough Huskies in the building. We just need to have as many fucking Washington State products as we can, and I'm totally fine with it. But it's getting crazy. We got K. Dotton, we got Vita Vea, we got fucking Jalen McMillan, now Devin Cook to add to JTS, and yeah, the list goes on. It's pretty wild. We're gonna have a whole bunch of Huskies here on this team. Hopefully, they can all keep on putting it together, especially on offense. We really believe in offensive Huskies and Vita. But anyway, that pretty much wraps up the Buccaneers draft core. I'm excited. I think we nailed it. Pretty much every position that we needed, we did address. We do need to get a corner, which I think they brought in a couple free agents. They also brought in a free agent linebacker. I'm pretty excited about. Where did that come from? I think he was a Florida State linebacker. Some real good stats on the lad, so it should be pretty interesting. But overall, Corey, I think the Bucs are going to just go ahead and take the NFC South again because, who was it? The old Falcons just pretty much dropped the ball entirely. And the Saints, I mean, who really cares what they do? They're not going to win this South because
just Mayfield leading the charge, It's going to happen.
Absolutely. It's going to be great, man. Yeah, I'm very excited about it. So moving on to a team who didn't quite excite the fans that much, but in hindsight, looks like a pretty good draft. Looks like they did address some positions of need. The Dallas Cowboys. As we already mentioned, Tyler Guyton, offensive tackle, Oklahoma. Then they go into defensive end out of Western Michigan.
So the defensive end doesn't make too much sense to me unless we're like losing faith in what's his name? Long-standing captain. DeMarcus Lawrence. Yeah. Like.
Well, but the thing is, you can't rush Parsons every play. Like Parsons is supposed to be kind of a middle linebacker /
He does move around, I guess, but
so you need somebody who you can never have enough
rushers. I do feel like also just our defense was good. Like we got another DB. Like we have.
They did get shredded against the Packers, though. To be fair,
it seemed like more of a coaching issue than like players fucking up issue. Like because we still have Stephon Gilmore, we have Bland, we have Trayvon Diggs. Like he's old, but he was like he did well last year. It's not like he was getting burned. Like he's doing fine. Like.
Well, there you go. They come back to the offensive line again. See, they went offensive line in the first round, and then they went offensive line in the third round. So they're addressing their offense. They just didn't get receivers, which is what everyone wants. That's his shiny pick. But honestly,
especially since Gallup retired,
they needed to replenish the offensive line because Zach Martin's getting older, and then you got they just lost Smith. So they kind of had to do offensive line.
I'm with replacing the line because obviously you need your line. We had a great line. We lost a couple key pieces to it, so that makes sense. So Gallup and Van Der Esch both retired, which were both two kind of like middling dudes that we lost. So I see we get in the third round we get another linebacker. Maybe that's supposed to be the replacement for Van Der Esch. I see later on we got ourselves a receiver, so I'm assuming that's the replacement for Gallup. This dude in the 6th round. More offensive line, more defensive tackle. Like, I mean, we got a lot of line, which is good. Like, you want to get your
stack the trenches.
Stack the trenches, exactly. The corner is really the thing that doesn't make sense to me, but maybe he's going to be like. We got Bland last year in the 5th round, and he turned out to be a stud. So maybe this is maybe I mean I don't know. I don't know who any of these dudes are. So maybe he just an amazing talent that was sitting there in the 5th round, and they're like, we can't pass this up,
Checks out. I mean, the corner is another one of those positions, especially when it comes down to the 5th round. Stack up on them. You got to play like 3 or 4 of them at a time sometimes, And
so, we also have consistently been losing corners to injury. So I guess,
exactly.
You need more of them. And like, that's one thing where if you got a hurt corner and you put in, your 3rd stringer, he's going to get fucking torched.
Exactly. You can never have really enough DBs, man. That's why I was so happy to see the Bucs take another DB because you just need them.
And also, like, our receiver room isn't terrible. Like, we still have Lamb. I'm looking at the roster. We still have Lamb. We still have Cooks. Jalen Tolbert, he was doing pretty well last year. Turpin, he's mostly a return specialist, but like he's occasionally in there at receiver and does some stuff. Like it might be okay. I don't know who Jalen Brooks is. I've never heard of him.
You know what they need to do? Find a United Football League receiver this year. I think
Maybe we'll
everyone's just
pick up that dude.
I think
the
everyone's just counting on
Battlehawks
them.
guy. Yeah.
Them and Buffalo are just all counting on the receivers coming out of the United Football League. Them, Buffalo, the Chargers, everyone's relying really heavily on the United Football League this year. It's kind of unorthodox, but
Yeah,
I think it'll pay off
it's
for
a
them.
it's a second draft basically.
It's great, yeah. We're always trying to talk about our friends over at the United Football League. Anyway, Corey, that's the NFL draft. It happened.
I would just like to present to the class the importance of creatine. If you're not taking fucking creatine, you got to start, because this is going to be a very rudimentary explanation of creatine, but it hydrates your muscles, man, so they grow better and stronger, and it won't make you stronger, but it'll give your muscles more cardio. So if you normally would do 10 reps and you take creatine, then you'll be able to do 11 reps. Is my understanding of it.
I like it. Absolutely. Take creatine. Do it. It's good for you, especially just in general life. We've also covered all the NFL draft here today, Corey. Talked about some very important stuff that's happening out there in the football league. If anyone has any questions or concerns, please send a detailed email to Corey at CoreyIsADraftExpert1992 at gmail.com.
It's my email.
That's
I check it
send any
every
questions
minute.
every minute. Wow, that's
every minute. I've checked it. I've checked it 41 times since we started this podcast.
It's pretty impressive. Anyway, boys, we're out of here. Sports by Compian.